Needless to say, not what I foresaw for the ball. Hey everyone, what is up? It is Lady Sweetheart and welcome back to the Disney Princess Challenge. So you guys, I am so excited today. Well, I'm a little nervous too, honestly. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to be real. I'm kind of anxious, but I'm really excited as well because today we are finally going to be able to start the challenge part of the Tiana Gen as well as dig deeper into her story. So this is going to be a super big, super exciting episode. It's going to be a lot of fun, but like I said, I'm also just kind of nervous because I just want to make sure that I do this right, and I know a lot of important things are going to go down, and I just want to make it right for y'all. But anyway, as you can see here, we are with our beautiful girl Tiana, and as you can probably tell from how she's dressed, she is actually about to go start a shift at the diner. And yeah, we have a lot to cover in this episode, but before we get into it, there are a couple of things that I want to do. I am going to hop into cast really quick with this household, and I'm also going to take a little bit of time to go over the goals of this gen, since we are finally able to start the challenge part of Tiana's story. So there are a couple of reasons that I do want to take a little bit of time in cast with you. The first being that Tiana is now a young adult, so off camera I did age up Tiana and Charlotte so that they are young adults. So I thought I would just give you a closer look at her. I also did age Cynda up to an adult. She is still looking just as beautiful as ever, I think. But she is an adult now. I did also age up Blair, since Blair is her twin. I did not age up Noel and Nivea yet. I'm not quite ready for them to be elders. I probably will do that for the next episode though. And then of course, little Jameson here, I did age up to a child. Another thing that I just wanted to show you, something you may have noticed, is I actually did switch the hairs on the characters in the series to Maxis Match hairs. So there were a couple of reasons for that. The first being like the shaders that I really love using right now, they just don't look good with alpha hairs. Like the MXEO effect doesn't mix well with alpha, and I really love that effect in my game, and I just kind of want a more uniform look in my channel. Like instead of it being like this series looks this way and this series looks this way, I just kind of want a more uniform type of look. But the other reason too is like save bloat. This series, we're already in the 3rd gen, but we're going to be going to 10 generations. And as you do that, the save file gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it gets more stressed, and it's more stressing on your PC. Like my PC is totally fine right now. I have a gaming system and you know, it can handle a lot, but I just don't want to take the chance because if you aren't aware, like alpha hair takes up so much space on your PC, and it takes up so much RAM like when you're playing, and I just don't want to sacrifice the save. Even just being in the 3rd gen, I feel like I've poured so much into this, like I just don't want to do anything that could possibly mess it up. So that is the other reason. So I hope y'all understand, you know, I hope nobody was just watching for the alpha hairs. Like I know some of you might prefer it, but you know, I hope that's not the only reason you're in this series. But if you are and you decide to leave, like I totally understand. But at the end of the day, you know, this is my content and it's my game, and I have to do what like makes me happy and what I want to do. And so I hope you guys understand that. But anyway, back to what I was going to show you. So as I said, Jameson, he is a child, and oh my goodness, like I just feel like I didn't expect this, but he is so King Noel. Like when I look at his face, I feel like he looks so much like his grandfather. Like I think if we put like a blonde hair on him, like he would be like, I mean, obviously a little bit darker skin tone, but like his features remind me so much of Noel. And I know that like Cynda looks so much like her dad, so I guess I shouldn't be super surprised, but I was really kind of surprised by how much this boy is starting to look like his grandfather. But anyway, he is a total cutie. I gave him like the missing tooth teeth set. I didn't have him miss his teeth in the game because I think they've worked that glitch out, but like I'm not sure I trust it. So I didn't want to take any chances. But as you can see, Jameson, he has the Playtime Captain aspiration, which is one of the newer aspirations. His traits are dog lover. I thought that made a lot of sense since we have little Bruno in the family who I think sometimes tends to get a little bit neglected because of all that we do with Tiana. But I think with Jameson being a dog lover, that should help a lot. And then he is active like his father was. And he is also a goofball. Like, Jameson is definitely like the comic relief in the family. Like, he's a little joker, and I just love that about him. But back to our main girl, Tiana. I will just go through and show you, because I did change a little bit, but oh my goodness, like, I know I have said it before, but I think she is like such a beautiful sim. I honestly do. Of all three, like, I love Nivea, I love Cynda, but I just think Tiana is like our most beautiful princess yet. I'm so over the moon at how she came out. So I think I did keep most of her outfits the same, but you know, since I did change her hairs, I just kind of wanted to show you that really quick. So since Tiana is now a young adult, we can start the challenge portion of her generation. So I did want to take a quick moment to go over the goals of the challenge. So for Gen 3, it says Tiana, her theme is the only way to get what you want in this world is through hard work. And also, just so y'all know, I do always link the rules to the challenge in my description for all of my Disney Princess videos. So if at any point you ever just want to browse the rules of the gen that we're on or the future gen, you are able to do that through the link that is in the description. So it says your family has barely accomplished anything over the past 2 generations, and you're here to change that. I mean, your grandfather and grandmother, which is only 2 generations back, are king and queen, but I guess you could argue they didn't really accomplish that. They were both born into royalty. So, I mean, you know, we'll go with it. This story begins when Tiana becomes a young adult. So yeah, we have had this big gap because Cinderella's almost all of her goals were like when she was a teenager. And so we've gone all this time to get Tiana to a young adult. So I hope there's not a big gap like that anywhere else, but it definitely made it, at least for me, it made it a little bit challenging because I just felt like maybe I wasn't as motivated sometimes because we weren't really working towards something. So that's part of the reason I'm super excited about this. But anyway, let's get back to this. I'm getting distracted as usual. So the first is must have ambitious trait. I did already do that, so I will show you that once we get back in game. Father must die before end of young adult. That's happened. We've already done that. Must have the food aspiration, which I did that, I believe, when she aged up to a teen, but we will double check that too when we get back in game. And then the other is must marry a sim with green. This can be hair, eyes, skin, etc. And then it does say if you have the Dine Out pack, which I do, Tiana must own and run her own restaurant. So that's really the big thing that we're going to have to work towards for Tiana, because as you can see, a lot of this really has already been done. And we know marrying a specific sim in The Sims is not hard. Obviously, creating a sim with green is not hard. So that was a big reason why I wanted to add the extra layer of having Tiana and Naveen basically trapped in the jungle for a time, because I just feel like it's so easy otherwise. Just wanted a little bit more to make this part of the challenge challenging. Oh, and one more thing that I did want to get you caught up on before we get into this is off camera, I did have Cynda and Gaeul go out on a date together. They actually went out to dinner. I didn't include it in the video just because, for one, like, we have so much we are already going to have in the video. The other reason is when I did ask for feedback last time about like what you thought about, you know, maybe a little bit of like reuniting with Cynda and Gaeul. I didn't get a lot of feedback. The feedback I did get was positive, but I didn't get a lot. And so that kind of told me that like that might not be something that y'all are really all that interested in. So instead of taking up space in the video, I just thought, we'll just kind of send them out and I'll record a little bit of it so you can get caught up and just kind of summarize what happened. But basically, they did go out and they ended up having a really good time. There is definitely still some sparks between them. They went out to dinner and they wanted to get caught up on each other's lives, but there ended up being quite a bit of flirtation. When they were done eating dinner, they even had a little slow dance together, and at the end of the date, Cynda did kiss him goodnight. So I definitely think there's some sparks there and something might be starting with them. But anyway, we are here in the diner, but as you can see here, some familiar faces have come into the restaurant to pay Tiana a visit and also to eat the amazing beignets that the diner has to offer. And on this particular morning, Charlotte is even more excited than she normally is because later on tonight, her dad, Doc, is hosting a ball at their home to celebrate Charlotte's recent birthday. And not only that, on the guest list is none other than the infamous Prince Naveen, who just so happens to be handsome and single. And of course, Charlotte, being the romantic that she is, can't help but hope that something might come of that. And she's hoping that the ball tonight will be her chance to meet the prince that she's always wanted to be with. So Charlotte is talking excitedly about all of this to Tiana, making it very hard for Tiana to keep up on her work, I'm sure. Showing her pictures of Prince Naveen and talking about how handsome she thinks he is. And of course, she wants her BFF to be there for moral support. And she's like, look, Tiana, you have to give up your shift tonight. Come to the ball, like, bring these amazing beignets. I promise we'll pay you really well, like, you have to be there. And of course, Tiana, being a young woman of her own mind, has very few people in this world that she just can't say no to, but we know that Lottie is one of them. So she promises that she will come to the ball tonight. You know, she realizes how important this is to Charlotte. But eventually, Lottie and Doc leave the diner, obviously having a lot to do to prepare for the ball. But as Tiana comes back to the table to finish cleaning up, she realizes that her bestest cousin left her a quite amazing tip. A tip that just so happens to be big enough that Tiana thinks she just may have enough money saved to put a down payment on a building that she's been eyeing to start the restaurant that she's always dreamed of. Which would also, of course, allow her to make one of her dad's lifetime dreams come true as well. A dream that, of course, he never had a chance to make come true. So across the city, it is true, Prince Naveen has arrived in the lovely city of San Myshuno. You will see from this close-up that I definitely made him quite a bit different looking from the Prince Naveen in the cartoon. You know, I said at the beginning of the challenge, I'm going to model the princes more on the following gen of princesses, and the next gen is Aurora. So I thought it made sense to make Prince Naveen be blonde, even though Naveen in the cartoons has very dark hair. And as you can see, I did fulfill the requirement of the challenge. He has some quite piercing green eyes. And I also decided, I'm going to try to zoom out. He's surrounded by women right now, as you might expect from Prince Naveen. But I kind of gave him a little bit more of like a bad boy kind of look. I kind of see Prince Naveen as more of a rebellious kind of a prince. You know, that's sort of at the root of some of the issues that he's having in the cartoon and the reason that he turns to, Dr. Facilier, because he's not being a good prince and he kind of wants his parents off of his back. So I thought in modern times, since this is a modern Disney princess story, it made sense that Prince Naveen would have this sort of look. So I hope you all are okay with it and you like what I did with him. But needless to say, as you would expect, Prince Naveen, in spite of just being in town for like 0.5 seconds, already has a group of women around him that he is laying the charm on for. And they don't seem to mind a bit. But as Prince Naveen is talking to these lovely ladies, of San Myshuno, he is approached by a mysterious man who has come out of this little voodoo shop here on the side of the street. And this mysterious man, who we of course know is Dr. Facilier, proceeds to tell Naveen, like, you really need to come inside of my shop. I've got something for you. It's going to take care of everything you need. Just trust me, it'll be worth your while. So Prince Naveen does take Dr. Facilier's advice and follows him inside the shop, where he is led downstairs into a kind of creepy dark basement. Quick shout out, by the way, to one of our amazing community members, Kat, who actually created the Dr. Facilier that you see before you. Like, Kat did such an amazing job with Dr. Facilier. Like, I'm absolutely blown away. So thank you so much, Kat, for making this sim for my series. But back to the story, Dr. Facilier is basically talking to Prince Naveen like, look, I can sense your problems, using the power of the crystal ball in front of him. He's just basically saying, look, I get what's going on. You're in a lot of trouble and, money is at the root of your worry, right? And Naveen's like, well, yeah, my parents are going to cut me off from the royal fortune if I don't settle down and get responsible. And they also want me to find a wife. And of course, Dr. Facilier is saying, have no fear, like I've got just the thing for you. I can take all your problems away. And Naveen, he's kind of gullible. Like, for everything else about him, he's a gullible person. And he's totally buying everything Dr. Facilier is selling. Which is unfortunate for Prince Naveen, because Dr. Facilier proceeds to cast a spell, which unfortunately has turned our handsome prince into none other than a frog. Equally unfortunate for Prince Naveen is, in the midst of all of this, his royal valet had showed up to check on him, and in the process, Dr. Facilier cast a spell, which ended up turning his royal valet into basically a clone of Naveen. And of course, his royal valet Lawrence knows all about the plan for tonight. And of course, he knows that the plan is supposed to be that Naveen sweeps Lottie off of her feet at the ball. So he's like, look, since I look like you, I will just take your place while we figure out how to undo all this magic. But yes, needless to say, Naveen has been in San Myshuno not even 30 minutes, and he's already got himself into a world of trouble. So we are now at Lottie's ball, and I thought this would be a good time to just show you some of the updated family members, because what I did was I actually had Doc just invite the entire family as guests. I thought that would be fun, because some of them we haven't seen in a while. But at any rate, this is actually Prince Nikolas. So this is Nivea and Noel's youngest child, the Crown Prince. And he also just became a young adult, because if you recall, Nivea was actually pregnant with him the same time that Cynda was pregnant with Tiana. So he, Charlotte, and Tiana are all very close in age. So Nikolas is an interesting character because when I went into cast to give him his makeover, I just got this like kind of a smug rich boy kind of vibe. But at the same time, he's Nivea and Noel's child, so I don't think he would be mean, but I think he is just very spoiled. If you think about it, Nivea and Noel have always loved their kids and always doted on them, and especially with Noel, he didn't really get to be there 24/7 for their other 7 kids, but with Nikolas, they both got to raise him together and parent him the way that they would want to parent him. And so I think that he just had so much poured into him. He didn't want for love or affection, but also not for material things. Growing up in the castle and being the crown prince, he had a very different background and upbringing than his siblings did. And he loves the benefits that come along with being a crown prince. He is a partier. That is something he and Charlotte have in common, that they both love a good party. He doesn't so much love the responsibility side of royalty. So I think as time goes on, as it gets closer to time for him to take over the kingdom, that might get a little bit interesting. So yeah, that is a little bit about Prince Nikolas. who I believe is on his way actually to go talk to Charlotte. And of course, there is lovely Nivea. We already know about her. And also, I did just temporarily move Tiana into the penthouse with Doc and Charlotte. I thought that was probably just the easiest way because I wanted Doc to be able to throw the party, but I also obviously need to be able to control Tiana as well. It looks like Gavin and Ara have arrived, and oh my goodness, this is so awesome. So Gavin and Harper, they're twins, and they are just out here catching up together. That's so cute. So it looks like Prince Naveen has arrived. But as MC Command Center will tell us, this is actually fake Prince Naveen. I know, not very creative, but I thought that would just be an easy way for us to know who the real one is because, fake Prince Naveen, we know it's not the real Naveen. And wow, Dolly is here, but she looks angry. Maybe she just wanted to hang out in Tartosa tonight. I don't know. Blair is here as well. She looks super sad though. I'm not sure why. I also had him invite the little fairy girls, so hopefully they'll be here. They're actually children now. Also, Serena's prince husband is here with his fame walk. And his lovely wife, Serena, also looking angry. I wonder what is up with everyone's mood tonight. Y'all are at a fancy party at a penthouse. You should be happy. So off camera, Serena and Prince Felix did have a little baby girl that was just born named Princess Sage Evergreen. Serena no longer has to worry about there being an heir for the family. Oh, here's little Flora. She looks angry as well. What is up with everyone's mood tonight? And Cynda, of course, looking lovely, who actually came with Gaeul tonight as her date. He should be here somewhere. Here the handsome man is. And then Jameson, of course, was invited, and this is little Merryweather, one of the little fairy girls, and I thought I saw Fauna come as well in her little green dress, if I can find her. Oh, she's in here watching TV. Fauna is clearly not about the more social aspects of a party. Oh, but I did want to show you, during the day, when I went back to Tiana's household, Jameson was outside, out front of their residence playing, because they have that little playground area in San Myshuno, and Fauna was actually there, along with a couple of other kids. So he and Fauna ended up playing together and becoming pretty fast friends, which I thought was really cool because they're cousins. So it's nice to see that tradition of the cousins being close continuing. So anyway, I think everyone is here, and wow, they're already setting the fireworks off. It's a little early for that. I mean, y'all just started the party, but okay. But yes, of course, Lottie, has her glorious pink dress on in preparation for, a night that she hopes is filled with romance with Prince Naveen. Of course, we know Prince Naveen isn't actually here, but Lottie doesn't know that. And Tiana is over here with her beignets, just as Charlotte asked. Catching up, it looks like, with her grandpa as well as her mom. Also, I love that this is Lydia's ball outfit. I feel like this is probably as close to ball as Lydia would get, so it's appropriate for her. And Lottie is over here, of course, trying to get to know who she thinks is Prince Naveen. And she's starting to get a little bit nervous, and she really feels like she wants a little bit of one-on-one time with her BFF. So Lottie pulls Tiana up to her room, and Lottie's like, "Look, Tia, I am freaking out. I just need your advice." And of course, Tiana's probably saying something along the lines you know what? Yeah, he's a prince, but so what? He's just a person, just like you and I. Tiana's not the type that's impressed by something like that or by titles. She's like, "Lottie, just be your wonderful, charming self. Everything will be fine." And as a thank you, she brings her cousin into her dressing room. Yes, Lottie has her very own dressing room. I'm sure no one's real surprised by that. Basically, whatever Lottie has wanted, Lottie has gotten. But as a thank you for the wonderful advice that Tiana gave her, she has this wonderful dress that she wants to lend her cousin for the night. And even though Tiana doesn't feel it's her, to appease her cousin, she changes into this beautiful blue gown that Lottie picked out just for her. And in this gown, she really does look like the beautiful princess that she is. She is so beautiful, you guys. So Tiana and Lottie both come back down to the party, and Tiana grabs herself some of the nice gourmet food that they had catered. And Lottie, feeling encouraged by Tiana's talk with her, decides to come back down and ask Prince Naveen to dance with her. Fake Prince Naveen, I should say. Oh no, why is there a fire and where? Oh, because Doc, who has no cooking skill, decided to cook. Why aren't the sprinklers going off? Wow, so this is not what I wanted to have happen for the ball, so I apologize. Well, the good news in all of this is that there's no working stove now, so hopefully no one else will start a fire. Poor Doc is now going to have to take a shower, but I'm going to send him upstairs in his room to do that because I actually locked all of the doors upstairs for the guests, so he won't have to worry about getting walked in on that way. The fire's over, y'all. Like, you can get back to the party, I promise. Oh my gosh, this is actually kind of hilarious. I will admit that I can see a little bit of the humor in this here. This was definitely not what I had in mind with this ball.
A few moments later.
So, anyway, back to our story. Lottie, with her newfound confidence, has decided to come down and be her charming self with the fake Prince Naveen. Tiana has, made a huge effort to be social and kind of let loose. We know sometimes that's hard for her, but luckily having Lottie around definitely seems to help her in that regard. And she's just talking with her cousins, which I think is really adorable. But before long, Tiana does find herself needing a little bit of a breakaway, and she ends up getting a pretty big shock because there is a frog just hanging out in Lottie's room. And of course, Tiana reacts exactly as we would expect. I mean, when you walk into your best friend's bedroom, you definitely don't expect to see a human-sized frog in there. So Prince Naveen is like, look, I really need you to help me out. Like some crazy guy. And he starts to describe him. And Tiana's like, yeah, Dr. Facilier. Everyone knows that guy's a sham. Go on. And Prince Naveen is explaining, like, look, he turned me into this frog, but I promise you I'm a prince. I'm actually Prince Naveen. And of course, Tiana's like, well, wait a minute, who's downstairs? And he's like, it's a long story, but I just really need you to help me out, and I need you to give me a kiss. And Naveen's like, I'm sure you've heard the fairy tale about how when the princess kisses a frog, he turns back into a prince. Well, I'm thinking since this is a magic spell, this is something like that. And I need a princess such as yourself to give me a kiss so I can just break this spell. And Tiana's like, look, I don't know if this is like something that usually works for you, but as far as come-ons go, that has to be the worst I've ever heard. And Naveen, of course, is like, look, I'm telling you the truth. Like, please, come on, just one little kiss, and I promise I'll be out of your hair. So Tiana, she's a compassionate person. So she decides to take pity on Naveen and give him a quick kiss. But unfortunately, doing so doesn't break Naveen's spell, but instead has also turned Tiana into a frog. And needless to say, Tiana panics a little bit. The two run away from the party. Well, Tiana was running. Naveen, not so much. But before either of them can figure out where they're running away to, they both find themselves teleported away from the city. And before they know it, they find themselves teleported into what appears to be the middle of a jungle.